An urban gardener in Hammonds Plain says municipal bylaws are preventing him from selling his produce. He can grow it, he just can't sell it. Patrick Fogarty will tell us his story. And we're going to talk later this hour, Matt, with a constituent of yours, Pat Fogarty, who he calls himself an urban gardener. Says he's been told that he can grow as much as he can on his property, but he just can't sell it. And he says that you're not much of a help for his efforts here. In fact, he says you've even slandered him by calling his business an illegal business. What do you say to this?
Well, I guess if you ask someone in the zoning bylaw department, they would say it is. I chatted with him on the phone, tried to help him. He has a website and a Facebook page that says it's Halifax's first urban market. The problem is you just can't run that business from your home in a residentially zoned neighborhood like Kingswood, and you just have to obey by the bylaws. Most folks that reached out to me thanked me for insisting that the bylaws be adhered to. So if someone wants to open up a muffler shop or a home-based beer brewing business or selling cars or a pizza shop, it has to be obeyed, and that's what the bylaw folks will do. I don't have a say on what you can and can't do. There's a long process if you want to change the bylaws in your neighborhood, and it's very public, and we'll hear from the neighbors. But I think he's moved to a place that is actually zoned commercial, so I wish him the best. I'll probably be shopping there this weekend for some flowers.
Yeah, he says that with this demand for locally sourced food, especially in these times with this pandemic, food security issues and all, he says what better time to be, again, selling locally grown products here, but he can't do it from his property. It's that simple, unless there's a bylaw change.
That's right, and he can't sell cars and bake pizzas and sell them and open up a printing press. You have to do that where that's zoned. So yes to buy local, yes to organic, yes to small business, but do it where it's allowed.
All right. Councillor, appreciate your time. A Hammonds Plains urban gardener says he can grow all the produce he wants on his property. He just can't sell it. Not from his property, anyway. Patrick Fogarty says there's an appetite these days for locally sourced food, especially now with issues about food security during this COVID-19 pandemic. But he says municipal bylaws are preventing him from selling his products. He calls the bylaw an overreach. And Patrick Fogarty joins me on the phone here this morning. Mr. Fogarty, good morning to you.
Rick, how's it going?
It's going well, sir. How are you doing today?
Not too bad. Can you hear me all right? I got you on speakerphone so I can keep doing stuff here. We're a little bit busy. I'm sure you realize plants have become the new toilet paper, right, with the pandemic and everything. So, yeah, thanks for having me on, Rick. I appreciate it.
Well, so what is you being told here? We just had a chat with Matt Whitman earlier in the hour who said that the bylaw is quite clear that you just can't sell your produce from your yard, but you could go down the road, I guess, which you've been doing, I understand, selling from a temporary location.
Yeah, so Rick, I heard that he was on this morning. I didn't realize he was going to be on before this. So obviously the phones start ringing with the community calling in, telling me about what happened, and obviously I'm too busy to take the time to see what he has to say. But basically he had the kind of reaction that we thought he was going to have. This whole idea of bylaws are bylaws. I get what he's saying, but Rick, we're in a pandemic. And not only that, the community wants this. So the community, in my opinion, Rick, doesn't want to hear that. If there's archaic bylaws put in place that are preventing people from the ability for sustenance and consenting adults to buy plants from someone on their own property, I'm sorry, Rick, that to me doesn't sit well, and it's going to have to get changed, and it's going to get changed.
I got the impression in the conversation with Whitman that perhaps your neighbors weren't real keen on you doing.
Yeah, so Rick, by the way, Rick, do you have your tinfoil hat sitting around there? I've seen you on the internet there with your tinfoil hat. You might want to put this on because this is a bit of a bizarre story.
All right, go ahead.
So Rick, this all started 6 years ago, okay? We had a few concerned neighbors. I put an original post on our website in our neighborhood Facebook group, basically asking the community, what would you guys think? Because I was planning on expanding our property anyways, and so I asked them, what would you guys think if we put in a community orchard? Because we have a lot of young families there, right? And you guys can actually come pick your own produce and stuff in your backyard. Now, Rick, the reason I did that is because obviously if we wanted to be open to the public, we'd need to be rezoned. So instead of going through the whole rigmarole, spending thousands of dollars on trying to rezone, Rick, that's all depends on if the community wants it. They would have a public hearing on it. So why bother? Why not ask them directly? So it was a proposed question. Anyways, Rick, It went bananas the next day. My wife called me. I went to work. She said, Pat, you better get on the internet. This is, something, Rick, that you would never, ever think was going to happen was something so holistic and natural that people had the impression, not in my backyard. So anyways, I addressed the issues. People had some legitimate concerns, and it was a few households around our area. People that know me, Rick, our direct neighbors that have talked to me and are friends with us, they know what's going on back there because they've taken the time to develop a relationship with us, and they're fine with it. That's one thing that is constant between this whole thing is that the people that have problems, Rick, haven't talked to the horse's mouth, so to say. I'm the owner, Rick. I know what's going on there. So if you want to know and you're concerned, ask me.
But why not just go through the process then? Why not apply to have the bylaw changed and go through the public hearings and such? And in the meantime, I understand again you're selling your product at a temporary location. Continue to do it that way, and then maybe by next year you'll have the legal right to sell it from your home, perhaps.
Yeah. So this is it, Rick, and obviously that's where we're going with it. We had Road Apple's Pet and Apparel here in our neighborhood in Hammonds Plains, one of the only commercial spots in our neighborhood. The owner called me and said, hey, Pat, here's the keys. Fill your boots. Like, Rick, this all has community impact. This is all a community situation. For us to be able to run during this pandemic and all this foolishness, it's our neighbors that are helping us. It's our friends and people in the community. I've got a guy coming down from our neighborhood today that's going to be helping me. Rick, this is important stuff. And besides the bizarre side of things that surround this with Mr. Whitman and how he handled this. This is a really important thing that has to get changed. So we had that first thing in 2014 that happened. And so I addressed the concerns that things like traffic was an issue, stuff like that, right? Because we're a quiet neighborhood. And I posted publicly, which I still have. I kept all the correspondence, addressing these issues. So let's fast forward to in May here of this year. Everything was going great. Our website went viral, Rick. We had a 25 plant giveaway. It reached 23,000 people. Just went bananas, right? And so everything was great. And I looked on our Facebook page for our community, and then I seen Matt Whitman's post. Basically, Rick, it's eliciting neighbors if they have complaints to call him.
Yeah.
Rick,
but
Matt knows who I am.
That's his job, though, isn't it? Just to again.
Well, yeah, absolutely. There is that aspect of it, Rick. But you know what? He knows who I am, and if he's going to get complaints about this, wouldn't you think he would call me? And he, what I was told, said he did. Rick, he did not call me. Our number is posted publicly on that website. He has been to the property in 2014. He knows where I live. Wouldn't you think you might want to talk to the other side of the story before you run to the bylaw office?
I would suspect, Patrick, that you'll probably get a call today from him. That would be my guess now that you've gone public with this. And it's certainly an interesting predicament here. And you're right, there is a demand these days for locally produced food and concerns about food security and such. So I don't see what the problem is with, you're selling your products. But again, the law is the law right now. And I guess you'll have to go through the process to change that bylaw.
Absolutely. And we're going to.
Good.
Rick, this is Rick, you look, coming from Vancouver, progressive cities, this is not just Nova Scotia. This is not just Canada, major cities in North America. Rick, this is global. This is a movement that should be encouraged and embraced. And as far as I know, we haven't had an answer back from the city. And I honestly, Rick, don't think that they share the same sentiment as Mr. Whitman. They realize how important this is to the public. And if you're going to be in office and you're going to represent your constituents, you might want to represent them in a way that reflects their interests.
And I'm going to have to stop you there, Patrick, because I'm plumb out of time. But good luck with your effort, and I appreciate you making yourself available here today.
And thank you, Rick. And you know what? We open up to the public Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We're at Road Apple's Pet and Apparel over here in Hammonds Plains. Look us up. Follow us on Facebook at Fogarty's MG. And Fogarty's Market Garden on Facebook. Thank you so much, Rick. I appreciate the time.
All right. Have a great day. Take care.